Hello again guys, and welcome back to another Big Al Devlin video here at the House of Devlin. Thank you very much for tuning in. Now, I myself, even though I'm a 30-year-old man, regard myself as very young within pagan culture because I've only actually been a pagan for just under 2 years. I was turned pagan through a death and rebirth like experience. And when I say a death and rebirth experience, I literally mean death experience. That process of dying and coming back obviously changed me. It changed the way I saw the world, and of course what I saw when I was dead changed the way that I saw the world also. But even just going through a death-like experience can change one's perspective very significantly. However, because of my experiences, I, straight after those experiences, began to suffer what's called the waking dream. Now, there may be other terms for this particular condition. I'm sure there are, but it's the accepted term that we use here on our variety of YouTube channels that are all affiliated with one another, because it's the only term that we know to describe the process. And the waking dream is where someone who has died and come back through divine intervention, and without the aid and help of men, becomes essentially a hammer, what we would describe as a hammer of the gods. And that's what I am, essentially. Now, I'm not going to get into what is a hammer of the gods, but what I'll say is I believe that possibly being a hammer of the gods has accelerated my understanding and knowledge of the pagan faith. It's certainly made me very, without using the word fanatical, it's made me very eager, so we say, to learn as much of our faith as possible. And it has given me an unquenchable desire, so to speak, to share that knowledge and the wisdom that comes with that knowledge with yourselves. Now, looking back at my older videos when I first started learning about paganism and becoming a pagan, developing my faith as a pagan, and it was done with no intention. It's simply because I wanted to learn and understand what I had been through when I died. I wanted to learn where I went. I wanted to understand my experience of the gods and the heavens and so on and so forth. And of course, then the death-like feeling that I was experiencing here in the real life world, even though I was now again living and with a second chance, if you wish. But it was through that pursuit of knowledge that I've got to the point where I am now, and I have no doubt in 2 years' time I'll be filming another video explaining how much wiser and how much more knowledgeable I've become on paganism, because of course I will be. I will continue my pursuit of knowledge and wisdom of paganism until I die again. I can't say to my dying day, because my dying day, the day that I was fated to die, was 2 years ago. But until the day that I die again and stay dead this time, I will continue my pursuance of pagan knowledge, and I will be here sharing it with you on YouTube. However, as I say, when I look back at my older videos where I was telling the stories, and I didn't get very far into it, I completed cosmology. I think I then went on to starting some of the tales that occur within Midgard. There's a lot to tell. And of course, what I then started to focus upon was not just the stories, the old stories from the Eddas, for example, but then I started to discuss and focus more heavily upon my understanding of the waking dream, because I was obviously focusing on myself, but also I was focusing on what it's like to be a pagan in modern day. I was trying to make it relatable as much as possible to you and me, people who live in modern day times. But I feel now that I have that understanding of what it's like to be a pagan in modern times, the consequences of that, and how it can sometimes affect the way that you understand the stories and the metaphors, for example, behind the stories. I feel that I'm better able to tell the stories not only in better detail, but with a much greater understanding, I suppose. An understanding that I hope will be then passed on to yourselves. So feel free, obviously, to continue watching my older videos. They will remain there. The stories will still be told, but understand that those stories are told by a young pagan. I'm still a very young pagan. I consider myself a 2-year-old in that sense, because I died 2 years ago. I've been a pagan for 2 years, and I've had during those 2 years, my life has been very different. Obviously, since from the 28 years prior to that, not because of paganism, but because of obviously all the physical injuries that both me and my girlfriend have suffered. Our life was turned upside down, and so it feels like I'm living literally a new life. Everything is different, even the place I live. We live in different places. We've adapted and to cope with the trials, so to speak, that were put before us to survive such an ordeal. And so, because I'm such a different person, and I look through at the world now through with such a different perspective, through different eyes, I want to retell the tales, as I said, and you can watch the old videos, as I say, and you can see perhaps the progression that I have now of my own understanding of the stories, of the tales. I'll be doing it without reference to old texts and stuff, because I know the stories now in my head. You'll be hearing my own perspective, my own telling of the stories. And that's one thing I will say, and I'll say at the beginning of every video to reiterate the point. Every time I tell you one of the stories from the old sagas and Eddas, for example, from Nordic paganism, I want you to understand that this is my interpretation and my representation of the stories. There are differences. There are differences between every denomination of paganism, and there will be differences between even just I'm a Nordic pagan, but to another Nordic pagan, they will, especially if they're from another country with a different language, their stories, even though they're of the same denomination, the same faith as me, may vary ever so slightly. And so listen to my words, but really the most important thing is not the details of the story itself, but the metaphors and the meanings, the morals behind the story. And as long as there is a moral and there is value behind the story, as long as there are morals and metaphors behind the story that give you life lessons, then there is value to the story. The details don't matter. And that is something that I understand now, as in contrast to before. When I first told the stories, I thought they almost had to be, and that's why I kind of almost read them to you. I had notes with in front of me, guiding me through the stories. Also, obviously, because I hadn't fully learnt them verbatim, so to speak, I couldn't give you it off by heart, necessarily to the fullest and greatest of detail that of course the stories deserve. But also at the same time, I believe that they almost had to be given word for word as they were written down. But of course, there is no pagan Bible. There is no pagan literature as such, which is considered holy. Okay, there are Eddas, there are sagas, so on and so forth, but these are stories. Okay, and they're not put together in one volume, and they're not presented in the way that this is the way you must live your life. They have no commandments attached to them. They have no nothing. They're there and they're left open for you to interpret. Take out of the stories as you will. And I think as pagans, if we remain that way, if we remain in the manner in which we teach our stories, as in the form of oration, like I'm doing now, by telling you the story through talking and through discussion. If we stay like that, and we allow other pagans to question the stories, to interpret the stories for themselves, then our religion will survive as it has survived for possibly 40,000 years. We have proof that paganism existed in the Ice Age, and the Ice Age stopped 10,000 years ago, but it started a lot longer before then. So at some point during the Ice Age, paganism developed. It may have been even existed before the Ice Age. It's just the proof we have is that it's a minimum of 10,000 years old. That makes it an old religion. Okay, a very, very old religion. And the ways that the stories are told, and the ways that people relate to those stories have, of course, changed over those 10,000 years, because people change, society changes. And I think, as I say, it's the main strength for paganism is that we don't take our stories as word for word. And we don't take the morals behind it necessarily as completely concrete. The morals are what you get out of the story, what you understand from the story, because there may be hidden morals, there may be hidden ethics behind the story itself. And of course, because it's left to your interpretation, as society evolves, morals change over time. Back when Vikings, for example, existed in the world 1,000 years ago, for example, the morals regards killing people didn't really exist as much as they do now. The Vikings would go and they would raid coastal towns, they would kill innocents, so on and so forth. They were fairly brutal and barbaric people. They were pagan, and they had the same teachings that were in front of me. But there's nothing in these teachings that tell you, go raid the coast, go kill people, go rape or pillage and all the rest of it. Our religious stories don't tell us to do anything at all, and they don't glorify a lot of that kind of sort of activities and stuff like this. That was just done because they were men of their time. They did it to get rich and to get powerful and for personal gain. But they didn't do it because they were pagan, and I want to make that a point. Pagans change over time just as everyone else does, but our religion remains pretty much the same. But our religion has never ever incited us to commit violent acts, even though pagans have been violent in the past, just as everyone else has. Okay, but that violence, as I say, that has come from the pagans in the past, has never been fueled by the religion. Religion has never been used as an excuse, because it can't, because it's not in a text, it's not in a Bible. You can't hold up a book and go, we must go and raid, we must go and kill, we must go prove ourselves, worthy of Valhalla or whatever. There is no text to hold up, because someone could go, well, no, that's not the way that you do it. You can be brave in other ways. You can prove yourself in other ways. And it's that interpretation, as I say, that makes our faith fairly unique in the world of religions. There's very few religions that allow you to question essentially what is being told. Okay, and not only allows you, but encourages you to discuss and to question. Now, of course, sometimes there are hard answers. It simply is, well, this is the answer and that's it. There's very little room for interpretation. But that's the same with everything. But on the great scale of things, yes, at the core of the religion, there is a fundamental aspect. But that's just like, for example, how we see the world, how it's all linked. But on the fringes, the stories, the morals, the ethics, so on and so forth, these can all change according to the time and the society that you exist within. Okay? And are by no means, as I say, guided by the religion. The only thing that the religion promotes is honour. You'll hear through these stories constantly that a man must seek three things: strength, and that does not just mean strength of body, it means strength of mind, willpower, determination, grit. Okay. Wisdom. There's no point living in a world unless you understand the world that is around you. And of course, courage. The courage to use that strength and that wisdom to make the world a better place. And that can sometimes require a hell of a lot of courage. The courage to stand up for what you believe in. This is what being a pagan is about. And if you have all three of these things, essentially you have honour. As long as you have honour, I don't see no reason why you won't go to Valhalla or Folkvangir or whatever afterlife you're destined for or fated for, whatever. Then it doesn't matter. You don't have to die with a sword in your hand, as the old Vikings once believed. That was their interpretation of the teachings. But current interpretations, for example, as I say, are simply that if you live your life as a pagan with honour, and you have that honour in every action, you try to make the right decision, which could be seen as the wrong decision by someone else's point of view, but it doesn't matter. So you make the right decision for yourself with your own mind, your own personality, and your own spirit. Then you're a good pagan. Okay? Certainly in my belief, at least, anyway. So, as I say, this is just me really just talking about paganism as a general, how I've progressed as a pagan, because you progress over time through discussion and through further reading and of scholarly articles, for example, of information that's been found through the Eddas and through the sagas, and just, as I say, general talking and discussion, really, more than anything. You become, and living. There's no substitute, as they say, for experience. Go out and live. Go out and interact with people, and let that partly shape who you are, but with paganism behind you to help guide how you're shaped and in which direction you're going to move towards. And by going out and having life experiences with paganism guiding you, then you will eventually come to realize, if you haven't already, you'll awaken to the religion. You'll start to see the things that people like me and Celtic God, another YouTuber on here, talk about. As I say, I've only been a pagan myself 2 years, but perhaps I have a further and deeper understanding of paganism, or I've developed a deeper understanding at a far faster rate than you would otherwise do, simply because of the fact that I am simply a hammer of the gods. But that does not make me superior to you, okay? Even though I'm here on this earth because Freya has put me here. It's Freya who is my patron goddess. And I'm destined to go to Folkvangir when I die. Just because of all that, it doesn't matter. We're all pagans. I don't see myself as above you as such, or anything along those lines. Some pagans would see me as a holy man, if you wish, or as a superior, or of some kind of description. But I'm not interested in that, if you know what I mean. I'm here simply to do my best for paganism, and I'm willing to make whatever sacrifices I have to do so. I mean, one thing, for example, was I was in town centre during the weekend, and I saw a man preaching through a megaphone. He was preaching through the megaphone the word of Jesus Christ. And I was just so tempted to go, that's what I'm going to do now. Every Saturday, whilst he comes and teaches his word of Jesus Christ, I'm going to get a megaphone and just try and get a crowd and teach paganism. Teach it, not preach it. to go and to start saying, listen, I'm a pagan. You make me. That doesn't make me. That first of all, I just want to say that doesn't make me a Satanist, because there's a lot of misunderstanding about pagans and what pagans are, who we are, what we believe in, so on and so forth. I'd make it clear. Look, I'm just a pagan. I'm a human being, okay, and I live for life. If you understand, I live for creation, and all I want to do now is I want to tell you a few stories from my belief, from my religion. And then I would like, if those of you who have enjoyed the story, to hear what you think about what the story means. I want to discuss it with you. I'm not here, like the man over there, preaching to you that you must do this, otherwise you'll go to hell. You must do this, otherwise your soul is condemned. I'm not trying to buy your way into a heaven. I'm not giving you, false promises. I'm not saying that you will go to heaven if you become a pagan. You'll go to one of the pagan heavens. I'm not making any promises. I'm also not making any threats. I'm not trying to scare you to believe in our religion. I'm just telling you it. And whether you believe or not, it doesn't matter. But if you hear it, maybe some of you, it might just sink in. And you might start thinking about it. And later down the road, won't be today, takes time, you might just awaken to the religion and go, you know what, that paganism has got a lot of good things about it. Maybe I'll go and learn more about it. And that's one of the things that I want to try and do at one point. And it takes a lot of courage as we're going. Courage, wisdom, strength. And it does take a lot of strength as well, in many respects, strength of willpower to go, I am going to do it, because it's quite a scary thing to do, to stand up there and to be so to believe in what you believe as much as you do. You really have to believe in what you do. Believe to go out and to preach to real life people. Not like this behind a camera, but I'm safe, and if you want to shout abuse at me, it doesn't matter. I'm safe behind the screen. But I want to go out there amongst the people. It makes it real then. There's that real human contact. That's the next stage. If I do, I don't know if I'll be able to film it. I don't know because I'd like for you to hear the preaching, for want of another word, but it won't be preaching, as I say. I promise you, it will not be preaching. I teach. I don't preach. Okay, but I don't know if I'll be able to film it, because obviously I'll be outside. I don't know what the elements will be like. If it's raining, I can't put my camera out in the rain, and also I've got to keep the camera fairly close because someone will nick it. Unfortunately, that is the world that we live in. I accept that. Okay, there are a few who like to live within the protection of society, but they act with the values of the Uttengard. And as you'll see, as I tell you the stories, you'll come to understand what that word means, the Uttengard. They have a disrespect for civilization, so we say, some people. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to give you an update, and to tell you that there are story videos coming, and I hope you enjoy them. What I'll do is I'll do the video as a story, and I'll just leave it there. I just will keep the story isolated so that you can develop your own thoughts, your own interpretations of the stories, and then I'll follow it up with a second video on what I think. So I don't pollute your thoughts first. I want you to develop your own thoughts about what the stories are first. Then I'll tell you what I think. And if you disagree with me, That's not a problem. And I'll discuss it with you as best as I can through the comment section. And obviously, I know Celtic God does a lot of live videos. If I can work out how to do it myself as well, I might do a live video where I just answer the questions that people may have. But be honest, I like being a guest on his channel. I can't always make it. Weekends I do work 7 days a week, unfortunately. So, you know, even the weekends are busy for me. And he works hard as well. So I know he tries to do live videos during the weekends. But I haven't been able to attend all of them. In fact, I only attended the first one. But I promise I will be on the odd one from time to time, and I will. You'll hear my voice, or perhaps even see my face if we get to that point. And I will be very, very happy to see you there. And that's a great way of teaching, also. Anyway, yeah, guys, I'm starting to waffle, so I'm going to turn off now. Thanks for listening. I hope you you're excited. I certainly am. I might not be showing it. I might be calm, but I am very excited for what the future holds. Regards this channel and regards ideas I have, as I say, for spreading the word of paganism. Thank you. Bye bye.